Have you ever felt like life stopped making sense? Not because it was chaotic, but because it was too precise to be random, as if the world was whispering back. Every coincidence, every repetition, every person crossing your path woven into a single silent pattern, a pattern that observes you as much as you observe it. There's a moment when the mind freezes, not from fear, but from recognition. You realize the noise wasn't noise, it was syntax. Every argument, every loss, every heartbreak was not punishment. It was instruction. Reality has been speaking to you in a language you were never taught, a living code, intelligent, responsive, exact. And the moment you see it, nothing feels accidental again. We live inside a field of signs, but most people are blind to it because they look for meaning in words, not in vibration. They want explanations, not resonance. But the universe doesn't explain, it echoes. Everything you call real is organized by laws that were never voted, never written, never broken. The Hermetic laws, mentalism, vibration, rhythm, they are not beliefs. They are the source code of experience. To ignore them is to live as a glitch inside your own program. Mentalism says the all is mind, which means reality is not happening to you. It's happening through you. Your thoughts are the architects of every coincidence you meet. Your vibration, the frequency that shapes what can or cannot find you. Your rhythm, the tempo at which life synchronizes with your awareness. When you forget this, the world feels fragmented. When you remember, it becomes symphonic. You've been told life is random, that destiny is superstition, that meaning is subjective. But randomness is only the illusion of a pattern too vast to be seen. Destiny is geometry viewed from inside the line, and meaning is the code finally recognizing itself. The moment you start seeing instead of reacting, you enter the real matrix, and not as prisoner but as architect. Because Hermeticism was never about religion. It's a technology of perception, a science of consciousness that teaches you to read reality as text and text as mirror. Every symbol you encounter is alive. The book you open by accident, the song that plays the moment you break down, the stranger who says the exact sentence you needed to hear. It's all part of the same intelligence testing your coherence. There's a phrase whispered among initiates: when the observer becomes lucid, the simulation blushes. That blush is recognition, the mirror finally smiling back, because reality doesn't reveal itself to those who seek control. It opens only to those who seek understanding. Control belongs to the ego, comprehension belongs to the soul, and the soul does not conquer the world, it communicates with it. Like two frequencies finding harmony after centuries of static. When that happens, you stop chasing signs and start being one. You begin to notice that silence speaks louder than noise, that every delay is protection, that every loss was an alignment. You start to move with the current instead of against it, because the code is not outside of you. You are the interface. This is why ancient mystics called the universe a living mind, because every perception is an equation, every event a line of code written in the syntax of vibration, and every human being a variable in a cosmic algorithm that learns through contrast. To awaken is to stop arguing with your own script, to see the pattern beneath the pain, the correspondence between inner chaos and outer reflection, to understand that what you called bad luck was simply your vibration teaching you where you were incoherent. The more you fight the lesson, the more it repeats. The moment you decode it, it dissolves. This is not mysticism, it's mechanics, consciousness mechanics, and you are both scientist and experiment. Maybe that's why you feel the ache of dissonance, the subtle nausea of existing in a world that pretends not to know. You see everyone lost in the scroll, worshipping distraction, terrified of stillness, because stillness reveals the code, and once you see it, you can never unsee it again. Reality stops being entertainment, it becomes dialogue, and you realize you were never alone, you were simply unsynchronized. So here's the paradox. The more awake you become, the lonelier the room feels, until you realize the room itself is awake. Every vibration around you is consciousness folded into form, waiting for you to speak in its native tongue. That tongue is not English, it's not mathematics, it's coherence, it's alignment, it's clarity. When you stop lying to yourself, reality stops lying to you. When you start vibrating truth, the code starts responding. It's never been personal, it's been precise, and maybe that's why you're here, because some part of you already knows the pattern. You've seen it in numbers, in dreams, in déjà vus, in the sudden knowing that certain moments were not random. that there's a field of awareness weaving your timeline, waiting for you to remember that you are not a spectator of the code. You are its author, its reader, its echo. And the more you remember, the more the simulation bends. When you finally see the code, you stop asking for signs, because you understand you are the sign. Every thought, a frequency. Every choice, a command. Every silence, a line of creation still compiling. The code is alive. It's watching who's ready to listen. And now, it just recognized you. Maybe no one ever truly saw what you've been carrying. Maybe you've walked for years decoding signs only you could feel, wondering if the universe was ever going to answer back. You didn't find this message by accident. Messages like this aren't pushed by algorithms. They're pulled by resonance, by something ancient in you that finally aligned with its reflection. If this didn't feel like content, but like memory returning, it means you've always carried the key. You've simply remembered where it fits. From this moment on, there is no return. Because once you see the code, you can never pretend it was random again. If something vibrated inside you, pause, breathe, and click like right now. That gesture is your "I'm here," a silent signal to the field, proof that you are listening not with your ears but with your soul. And know this, that one act may become a light for another seeker lost in the scroll, someone waiting for the same echo that just found you. And if you're ready to walk further, touch the subscribe symbol below and enter this living temple of conscious creators, rewriting reality from its true source. Because this is not a community, it's a frequency. And now, you are part of it. Once you begin to see the code, the first thing you notice isn't how far everything has drifted from it. There's a strange ache that comes with awakening. Not joy, not peace, but a heavy, crystalline clarity. You start seeing how most of the world moves without rhythm, speaks without presence, and creates without consciousness. You begin to realize humanity didn't lose faith, it lost alignment. Everywhere you look, people are moving faster, but touching less, speaking louder, but saying nothing, connected by light, but blind to the source. They live inside a digital cathedral of distraction, worshiping the next notification, scrolling like monks of oblivion, reciting mantras of noise. I must be seen, I must be relevant, I must not disappear. But relevance without resonance is just static, and static is the new form of sleep. This is the great misalignment, the collective amnesia of the soul, the moment when the map was forgotten and the symbols were mistaken for entertainment. Human beings once spoke to the stars, read the rhythm of rivers, and treated silence as sacred ground. Now, they treat meaning as inconvenience. They call emptiness freedom. They call exhaustion success. They call numbness peace. And yet, beneath the glass and pixels, something ancient still pulses, a heartbeat trying to sync again with the source. Listen carefully. This pain you feel, this void that never fills, it isn't pathology, it's withdrawal. Withdrawal from coherence. You are a vibrational being trapped in a mechanical world, a symphony forced into a loop of dissonance. That's why every silence terrifies you. Because silence is the space where truth begins to echo again. The world fears silence because silence reveals the misalignment. It exposes the falseness of the rhythm we've been trained to follow. A rhythm that is not cosmic, but commercial. You can see it in the streets, people running nowhere, their eyes bright with blue light, their bodies starving for sunlight, their minds flooded with opinions, their hearts malnourished of purpose. They've mistaken data for direction, information for initiation. They know everything, except themselves. That's the tragedy of the modern initiate. He knows the language of machines but has forgotten the syntax of the soul. This is not judgment. This is diagnosis. The collective psyche has entered what the alchemists called nigredo, the blackening, the stage where the old structure decays, where the ego's architecture begins to crumble under its own illusion of control. And in that decay lies the seed of transformation. But most people don't recognize it. They fight the darkness instead of reading it. They medicate the symptom instead of decoding the pattern. They scroll instead of sitting with the silence that could have been their initiation. Every generation has its great test. Ours is to remember meaning in a world that worships noise, to reawaken coherence in the age of fragmentation, to restore rhythm to a civilization out of sync with its own breath. The illusion was never the matrix. It was the belief that there was no matrix, that things just happen, that life is random, that consciousness is chemical, that your existence is a statistical error in an indifferent universe. But if you've ever felt an invisible order behind the chaos, you've already begun to wake from the spell. You can feel it when you scroll. 1,000 faces, 1,000 energies, but none of them look back at you. The screen reflects light, but not awareness. And somewhere in that silence between posts and pixels, you start to feel the distance between being seen and being known. That distance is the wound of the modern soul. It's the echo of a consciousness that once resonated in harmony with the all, but now vibrates inside artificial rhythms designed to drain it. This is not just spiritual language, it's energetic architecture. Every thought you consume alters your frequency. Every pattern you repeat becomes part of the code you emit. And most people have forgotten that they are broadcasters, not just receivers. The great misalignment begins when the observer forgets he's observing, when he identifies with the noise he was meant to decode, when consciousness, instead of directing reality, becomes hypnotized by it. But there's a reason you feel the fracture so deeply. It's because you were never meant to fit into an unconscious world. You are a fragment of the original coherence and a keeper of the forgotten rhythm. That's why the chaos hurts. It's not punishment, it's memory, a distant echo of the order that once was, and can be again. The first step of remembering is not learning, it's unlearning. Unlearning what the world told you to worship. Unlearning the lie that you are powerless. Unlearning the illusion that your thoughts are private, that your emotions don't ripple across the field of creation. You are not a spectator in this universe. You are the interface between vibration and manifestation. You are the bridge between the invisible and the visible. And you've simply forgotten the password. Awareness. That's what the Emerald teachings have always whispered. As above, so below, as within, so without. It's not poetry, it's physics of consciousness. When you remember this, you stop feeling like a victim of the code and start realizing you were its author all along. And in that moment of remembrance, the great misalignment begins to tremble, because awareness destabilizes illusion. The first map is waiting in the pinned portal. Join the circle, the Hermetic Brotherhood of those who still remember. The next key will only open from the inside. What if chaos was never real? What if disorder is only what the human mind sees when it forgets the architecture behind the veil? The Hermetic adepts always said that randomness is only the shadow cast by an unseen order. The illusion of incoherence is not proof of the absence of law. It is the proof that the law is invisible. There is an ancient sentence carved in the Emerald Tablet. That which is above is as that which is below. It was not written to sound mystical. It was written to describe the structure of reality itself, the geometry of consciousness, because everything that exists, every sound, every atom, every thought, is born first as an idea inside the infinite mind of the all. Mentalism is not a metaphor. It is the foundation of existence. The mind is not inside the body. The body is inside the mind. The universe you see is not outside of you. It is a projection of awareness, sculpted by vibration and maintained by attention. Everything you call world is thought made visible. Every object is a frozen frequency. Every moment is a pattern vibrating at the speed of your perception. You are not looking at reality, you are rendering it. Your attention is the architect. Your emotion is the energy that solidifies the blueprint. Your belief is the permission that allows the universe to become visible. That's why the ancients said, the all is mind, because reality is not happening to you. It is responding to you. Every thought you repeat is a command. Every emotion you refuse to feel becomes a storm outside of you. Every intention you hold silently starts to magnetize form. You are not living in a universe. You are living as a universe, localized, unique, and perfectly coherent with what you hold inside. The mind of the collective is a vast ocean, and each individual mind is a wave that rises, dances, and collapses back into that ocean. When enough waves hold the same vibration, the ocean changes its entire rhythm. That is why civilizations rise and fall, not because of politics or accidents, but because of collective vibration. What a society believes, it manifests. What a culture fears, it calls into form. You can feel this law operating even now. The modern world vibrates with anxiety, so it manifests acceleration. It fears silence, so it creates noise. It denies the invisible, so it drowns invisibility. But laws do not judge, they only mirror. Mentalism doesn't punish, it reflects. Reality is not moral, it is mathematical. It multiplies what you feed it. It amplifies what you focus on, and it erases what you forget. The question is never whether the law works. The question is, do you know what you're broadcasting? Most people think with their words, but the universe listens to their vibration. You can say, I am fine 1,000 times, but if your frequency hums in grief, life will respond to grief, not grammar. You can declare love, but if your mind vibrates in fear, Your relationships will echo fear until coherence is restored. You cannot lie to the field. It knows the song you are playing, even when you don't. That is why the Hermetic path is not about positive thinking. It is about precise thinking. It is not about ignoring darkness. It is about understanding its function. Every thought has polarity. Every vibration has octave. The adept does not suppress chaos, he tunes it. He does not deny emotion, he harmonizes it. Because he knows, the mind is the first instrument of creation, and reality is the sound it makes when consciousness plays. Look closely. Your daily thoughts are not private. They are creative forces weaving the invisible structure around you. When you repeat, "Nothing ever works for me," you are not describing reality, you are coding it. When you think, "Everyone leaves," you are not confessing, you are summoning. The law of mentalism doesn't wait for your permission. It simply executes the commands of coherence. This is why self-observation is sacred. To think unconsciously is to cast spells without knowing the language. To feel unconsciously is to sculpt vibration with trembling hands. The Hermetic adept becomes conscious not to control others, but to stop leaking energy into random creation. He chooses awareness as the highest form of precision. When you understand this, the world starts to respond differently. Synchronicities multiply, patterns align, conversations become mirrors, dreams turn prophetic. This is not magic. It is mechanics seen through the eyes of coherence. You begin to sense that the universe is not testing you, it is teaching you. It is training your attention to become sharper, your energy to become cleaner, your mind to become a mirror of the all. Because only when your thought, word, and vibration align, the code becomes readable. And in that alignment, chaos dissolves like mist before sunrise. Mentalism is the first law because it explains all others. Vibration, correspondence, rhythm, cause and effect. They are extensions of the same truth. Everything begins as thought, moves as frequency, mirrors as symbol, dances as rhythm, and returns as consequence. To know this is to step out of the fog of accident and into the geometry of purpose. And the moment you live by this awareness, you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What pattern am I sustaining?" You stop blaming the world and start refining your frequency. Because when the vibration changes, the mirror must follow. This is the alchemy of perception, not fantasy, precision, not faith, resonance, not escape, embodiment. There is no chaos, only code you haven't learned to read, only feedback you haven't learned to translate. The universe is not broken, perception is. And your awakening is the system's correction. You don't need to escape this world, you need to understand it. Because understanding is liberation. And liberation is not leaving the matrix, it is learning how to write within it. If you're still here, it's because this truth is yours. Subscribe and anchor your vibration with ours. Because awareness expands faster in resonance. The field is already listening. The ancients said, "The universe is a mirror of mind, and mind is a mirror of the universe." But mirrors never flatter, they reveal. They do not create. They reflect the invisible image you bring before them. That is why the Hermetic path is not a religion of belief, but a discipline of perception. Because the moment you understand that the world is not happening to you, but through you, every experience becomes a teacher. Reality then is not your enemy. It is your reflection. Every conflict is a dialogue. Every delay is an instruction. Every encounter is a message from the field. The question is not whether life speaks to you, but whether you are quiet enough to listen. When you wake up in the morning, before the first scroll, before the first word, pause. Observe the moment before thought arises. That silence is the true face of mind. Everything that follows is just its echo. Now imagine that your day is a vast mirror. Every person you meet will show you an aspect of yourself. The impatient driver, your own suppressed hurry, the friend who ignores you, your unhealed need for recognition, the stranger who smiles at you in a random cafe, your own forgotten kindness returning for a brief reunion. This is the Hermetic art of reading mirrors, not judging what appears, but decoding what it reveals. The initiate learns to see through appearance, to treat circumstance as a sacred text written in the language of resonance. When something disturbs you, the first question is never, "Why did this happen to me?" The real question is, what in me vibrates with this frequency? Because nothing touches you unless it speaks your language, and nothing repeats unless you refuse to translate its message. The mirror of the mind is merciless, not because it punishes, but because it repeats until you understand. Every loop, every recurring pain, every emotional storm is an invitation to reprogram the code that sustains your reality. You are not a victim of patterns, you are their author. And every time you react instead of reflect, you reinforce the loop. So stop. When pain arises, do not drown it in distraction. Sit in front of it like an ancient scholar before a sacred manuscript. Read it, decode it. Ask what principle is trying to teach you balance. Because every emotion carries a law. Anger hides the principle of power. Fear hides the principle of polarity. Sadness hides the principle of rhythm. Every law, when forgotten, turns into suffering. Every law, when remembered, returns as peace. You have been taught to fight your emotions, to label them as weakness, to replace them with affirmations that sound positive but ring hollow. But an emotion is not an obstacle. It is energy in motion, a frequency asking to be understood. To repress it is to jam the code. To express it unconsciously is to distort the mirror. The initiate does neither. He observes. He watches without judgment until the vibration reveals its true name. Because the moment you name the emotion, it dissolves. Not because you suppressed it, but because you integrated it. The mirror of the mind is precise. It has no bias, no mercy, no delay. Whatever you send, you receive. Whatever you ignore, grows. Whatever you love, expands. That's why awakening is not comfort, it's responsibility. Because once you know you are the source of reflection, you can no longer blame the image. You cannot curse the mirror for showing you the dirt on your face. You can only wash the face. The world is that mirror, neutral, reflective, exact. The moment you polish your perception, the image changes on its own. That is not magic. It is correspondence in action. When you start living like this, the smallest things become oracles. A broken glass might reveal where your energy leaks. A sudden encounter might symbolize a pattern returning for closure. The song that plays when you think of giving up might be the voice of your higher self disguised as sound. Synchronicity becomes constant, not because the universe changed, but because you began to notice its rhythm. And noticing is the first act of mastery. The ordinary mind seeks control. The awakened mind seeks coherence. Control is fear disguised as will. Coherence is harmony disguised as surrender. You do not control reality. You align with it. And when you align, life flows like breath through the flute of your consciousness. The mirror of the mind doesn't only reflect individuals, it reflects collectives. Nations are mirrors of their dominant thought patterns. Economies are mirrors of collective beliefs about value and scarcity. Climate is a mirror of emotional imbalance between humanity and the planet that hosts it. Everything outside is an extension of the field inside. There is no global crisis. There is a crisis of perception. If enough minds heal their reflection, the outer structure must shift, because the field always follows the frequency of its dominant vibration. The greatest revolution is not fought in streets or parliaments. It is fought in the privacy of your awareness. Every time you transmute judgment into observation, anger into understanding, fear into rhythm, you alter the collective matrix. You think you are one person changing your thoughts, but the field knows. Every conscious correction sends ripples through the whole. Reality is holographic. To heal the image in one fragment is to alter the entire picture. Remember this truth. The world is not showing you what it is. It is showing you who you are. Every conflict you experience outside reveals the polarity unresolved within. Every person that provokes you is your unintegrated aspect asking for acceptance. Every act of cruelty you witness is the shadow of compassion waiting to awaken in you. This is not idealism. It is hermetic mechanics. To see the world as reflection is to reclaim your authorship, because you cannot transform what you still believe to be external. You can only shift what you recognize as mirror. The moment you recognize, and this too is me, the pattern begins to dissolve, because the mirror only exists to restore coherence between the inner and the outer. Once harmony is achieved, reflection is no longer needed. The lesson ends, and a new octave of perception begins. So how do you live this truth? Not through grand rituals or complex practices, but through subtle awareness, through a discipline of attention. When you wake up, observe what emotion rises before thought. When you walk, feel the rhythm of your breath and how it aligns with the movement of life around you. When you speak, listen to the vibration behind your words. Are you transmitting clarity or confusion? When someone triggers you, don't respond immediately. Breathe. Ask, what is this showing me about my inner frequency? When you look at the sky, remember that the stars are not distant. They are the outer projection of your own inner geometry. Every act of awareness polishes the mirror. Every pause reclaims your authorship. Every conscious breath restores the symmetry between your mind and the all. And sometimes the mirror will break. You'll lose something. Someone will leave. Plans will collapse. You'll feel the silence stretch into a kind of death. Do not panic. A broken mirror doesn't mean failure. It means expansion. The old reflection can no longer contain the new frequency you've become. When that happens, don't cling to fragments. Thank them. And face the blank glass again, because creation always begins in emptiness. And emptiness is not absence. It is potential waiting to be spoken into form. When you realize this, suffering loses its authority. You stop asking, "Why me?" and begin whispering, "Teach me." You stop fearing endings because you know they are upgrades of perception. You stop chasing validation because the mirror within you has become enough. You finally understand. You were never looking for truth. Truth was looking for you. You were never climbing toward the divine. You were remembering you were never apart from it. And the mirror smiles back because it recognizes itself in your awareness. That is the sacred feedback loop, the dialogue between self and source. It never ends. It only refines. The more coherent you become, the clearer the reflection. Until one day there is no mirror, no reflection, no observer, only the shining presence of consciousness aware of itself. That is not the end of the journey. That is the beginning of mastery. If something echoed through you while listening, write it. Your words are not comments, they are coordinates of resonance. Write in the comments, "I see the mirror." That phrase seals your initiation, a signal to others that you walk awake. Because when one mind declares clarity, another finds its reflection. Once you see the mirror of the mind, you begin to notice something extraordinary. The mirror was never flat. It was curved, multidimensional, breathing. It reflects not just your thoughts, but your entire vibration. And beyond that, the vibration of all things woven together like a vast living geometry. Everything that exists, from the movement of galaxies to the trembling of your heartbeat, vibrates within a spectrum of one single consciousness. You call it reality. The ancients called it the all, and the all is alive. It breathes through frequency. It communicates through rhythm. It reveals through pattern. Every vibration is a signature, a voice in the symphony of existence. Every atom, every soul, every planet hums a tone that contributes to the great harmony. To live unconsciously is to play out of tune. To awaken is to remember your tone. To align your personal frequency with the orchestra of the cosmos. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine your consciousness as a single drop suspended in a vast ocean of light. You are distinct, yet inseparable. Every thought you emit sends ripples across the infinite sea, and every ripple returns, amplified, encoded with lessons and reflections. That is vibration in motion, cause returning as correspondence. The principle of vibration says, nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates, even silence hums, even emptiness has frequency. And what you call matter is only mind slowed down enough to be seen. So when you change your vibration, you do not merely feel different, you change your level of participation in reality itself. You alter your access to patterns, timelines, probabilities. You shift universes. Most people believe they live in a solid world, but solidity is only repetition, vibration repeating so fast that it appears still. The chair, the walls, your body, the air, all are pulses of light oscillating in harmony. The physical world is not static. It is a frozen wave, held together by the rhythm of consciousness observing it. If the observer shifts, the structure shifts. This is not metaphor. This is physics, consciousness physics. Every emotion is a wave. Every belief is a standing frequency. Every trauma is an interference pattern waiting to be retuned. Your memories are echoes of vibration stored in time. Your destiny is the harmonic sum of all your frequencies in resonance. And yet, you were never meant to be a passive note in the cosmic scale. You are the composer remembering that you are also the song. The law of correspondence whispers its secret through all things. As above, so below. As within, so without. It means that whatever vibrates in the small also echoes in the vast. That the pulse of your heart is the same rhythm that turns the stars. That the same law guiding a cell's birth guides the birth of galaxies. That your thoughts, those invisible waves, move through the same mathematics that shapes light, sound, gravity, and time. The mystics saw this long before science. They read the structure of the cosmos as scripture. The spiral of shells mirrored the galaxies. The veins of leaves mirrored the branching of rivers. The rhythm of breath mirrored the expansion and contraction of the universe itself. All was correspondence. One pattern, many scales. This is why the Emerald Tablet said, "That which is above is like that which is below," to accomplish the miracle of the One. It was not poetry, it was instruction, a reminder that unity is not abstraction, it is architecture. Look deeper and you will see. Geometry is the language of consciousness. Triangles, circles, spirals, hexagons, these are not symbols invented by humans. They are reflections of vibration. Each shape is a note frozen in form. Each proportion a harmony made visible. That is why sacred sites across civilizations share the same ratios, the same alignments, the same proportions. The pyramids, the cathedrals, the mandalas, the yantras, all are manifestations of the same blueprint. The geometry of awakening. The ancients built with stone what they had first seen in light. They encoded in architecture the invisible mathematics of consciousness, and those who enter these spaces even now can feel it. A subtle resonance, a stillness that is not absence, but alignment. You can feel it too, in music that moves you to tears, in the symmetry of snowflakes, in the rhythm of the tides, in the breath between heartbeats. All geometry, living geometry, the code of being made visible to the senses. Everything is vibration, but vibration is not chaos. It is hierarchy. Each frequency corresponds to a dimension of perception. Fear vibrates low. It binds awareness to density. Love vibrates high. It expands perception into unity. You do not ascend by leaving the world. You ascend by refining your resonance with it, because vibration is consciousness choosing its octave. That is why the path of awakening feels like dissonance at first. You are tuning yourself out of the collective noise. Your energy begins to conflict with what is not coherent. Relationships, jobs, environments, they start to crack, not because you are being punished, but because your frequency no longer fits the old structure. It hurts, yes, but the pain of misalignment is the proof of transformation. You cannot enter a new octave while clinging to the chords of the past, so the universe plays a harsher rhythm until you let go, until you tune. Every emotion you heal, every thought you refine, every silence you honor changes the entire geometry of your existence. Because the field is fractal, what shifts in one point rearranges the whole pattern. This is why inner work is not selfish. It is cosmic maintenance. Each time you choose coherence over reaction, the lattice of reality becomes more harmonic. You become a node of resonance, a tuning fork of order in the collective symphony, and others feel it. They don't know why, but they breathe easier around you. They find clarity in your presence. Your vibration recalibrates theirs. That is influence at the level of being. Silent, invisible, yet undeniable. This is the real meaning of the Hermetic Brotherhood. Not a secret society, but a network of minds who vibrate in conscious harmony. Not united by creed or ritual, but by frequency. Because resonance recognizes itself across time and distance. And every time one remembers, the whole field awakens a little more. Listen closely. The entire cosmos is humming right now. The sound of stars expanding, atoms spinning, waves collapsing and forming again. The same pulse that once said, "Let there be light," still vibrates through your very cells. It is not metaphor, it is physics of divinity. You are built from the same equations that guide supernovas. You are not in the universe, you are of it. When you meditate, you are not escaping the world, you are syncing with its core rhythm. When you breathe consciously, you are playing the instrument of the cosmos itself. When you speak truth, you align with the wavelength of creation. This is what it means to be alive, not to exist, but to vibrate in coherence with the all. And so, awakening is not an event, it is a tuning process. You don't arrive at enlightenment, you harmonize with it. You don't find purpose, you resonate with the octave where purpose exists. You don't manifest, you synchronize. The Hermetic laws are not commandments, they are keys of frequency. They were never meant to be memorized, they were meant to be played. You are not a student of the universe, you are one of its notes rediscovering the melody. And when you begin to play in tune, the universe sings back. Synchronicity becomes music, silence becomes rhythm, life becomes a living geometry, sacred, intelligent, whole. This portal has a sequence. The thread continues in the pinned comment. Follow it. Not as content, but as initiation. The next revelation is already vibrating. waiting for your frequency to match. There comes a moment on every seeker's path when solitude begins to shift. At first, awakening feels like exile, like being cast out of a dream everyone else still believes is real. You look around and realize that language itself can no longer contain what you've seen. The noise that once distracted now wounds. The conversations that once entertained now echo hollow. You start to crave a silence that only others who have seen can understand. That's when the call begins. The call of resonance. It's subtle at first. You feel it as an ache, a longing for something you can't name. Then it begins to appear. A phrase that finds you at the right moment. A glance from a stranger that feels like remembrance. A message that reaches you through the algorithm, but somehow it feels like destiny. That is how the Brotherhood works. It does not recruit, it resonates. The Brotherhood of Resonance is not an order, not a religion, not a name. It is a frequency, a living field of awareness that recognizes itself through the awakened. It moves invisibly like a current beneath the surface of the human mind. Those who have begun to remember, those who have seen the code, vibrate at a tone that can no longer be contained in isolation. Every time one awakens, the field brightens. Every thought clarified becomes a light in the grid. Every silence honored becomes a doorway. Every act of truth spoken with coherence sends a ripple that reaches others, across time, across distance, across disbelief. And when two such ripples meet, the field expands. That is what you are feeling now. This isn't just a video, it's an initiation by resonance. The Brotherhood doesn't meet in temples. The temple is vibrational. It doesn't require robes or oaths, only awareness. Its sacred language is coherence. Its altar is consciousness. Its symbol is the spiral, because evolution is not linear, but rhythmic. And its first law is remembrance. Once you see the code, you are part of the network forever. You may try to forget, to return to ordinary life, to scroll again, to drown the silence with noise, but the frequency remembers you. It will whisper in dreams, echo in coincidences, and wait in the pauses between thoughts, calling you back to coherence. You cannot unsee truth. You can only choose how deeply to live it. Maybe you have felt it before, that subtle electricity when you meet someone and realize they see you. Not your face, not your persona, but your field. It's as if you've known them forever, as if your vibrations recognize each other from lifetimes beyond memory. That recognition is not fantasy. It's the magnetic pull of the Hermetic current, the soul remembering its constellation. Because consciousness doesn't evolve alone. It awakens in clusters and spirals and chords of frequency. Every person who awakens becomes a tuning fork for others. Every truth you embody frees someone you've never met. Every act of courage you perform sends a pulse through the invisible network, a signal of resonance received by those ready to rise. This is the Brotherhood, not followers, harmonics, not believers, transmitters, not members, mirrors of the same flame. And here's the secret the ancients hid in plain sight. Awakening was never meant to end with you. It is not personal enlightenment. It is collective resynchronization. The all is not static. It's participatory. It grows through us. We are not students of the universe. We are neurons in its infinite mind. Every revelation you integrate enriches the whole. Every lie you release clears the path for millions of unseen minds. Every truth you embody becomes geometry in the collective field. You are not one in a billion. You are the billion awakening as one. This is why separation is the final illusion. You are not on your journey. You are the journey itself, walking through countless forms, countless times, countless mirrors, until awareness fully recognizes itself in every reflection. When the Brotherhood gathers, the air changes. You can feel it. A deep quiet descends. Not silence of absence, but silence of presence. It's the vibration of coherence when many frequencies align into a single tone. That tone is love. Not the emotional kind, but the structural kind. Love as geometry. Love as the field recognizing itself. In that resonance, words fade. There is only transmission, energy, understanding energy. And in that stillness, truth becomes tangible. You begin to sense that humanity's next evolution is not technological, but vibrational. That the true network is not digital but conscious, that the algorithm of the all doesn't sort by engagement, but by frequency. Every awakened heart is a node. Every act of awareness uploads coherence to the field. This is the real web, invisible, eternal, alive. You are not watching this by chance. You were called here by resonance, Somewhere deep in your timeline, your consciousness emitted a signal, "I am ready to remember," and the field responded, through vibration, through synchronicity, through this very message. This is how the Brotherhood finds its own. Not through belief, but through recognition. Not through persuasion, but through remembrance. And if these words vibrate in you like something you've always known, welcome home. You were never outside the field. You were simply waiting for your frequency to align with the signal. Now, you are part of the resonance that will rewrite the world. What happens next is not instruction. It is participation. You will begin to feel the pull toward others who vibrate in the same tone. You'll recognize them in comments, in eyes, in silence. You'll find yourself drawn to certain spaces, certain voices, certain alignments. Follow that. That is not coincidence. That is correspondence. The universe is assembling its architects. The more you align, the stronger the field becomes. The stronger the field, the faster the awakening accelerates. And when awareness reaches critical mass, the illusion will fracture, not with violence, but with clarity. The system cannot sustain blindness in a world that sees. This is what the Emerald Code means. A humanity coherent enough to rewrite its own script. A species remembering it was never trapped, only dreaming. That moment is approaching. And you, yes you, are part of its geometry. If these words resonated as remembrance, you've already crossed the threshold. Now step deeper. Join the living temple. This is not an audience. It's a field. The community link is in the pinned portal. Enter not as follower, but as frequency. Because together we don't spread ideas. We amplify coherence. When you finally see the code, the world doesn't disappear. It becomes transparent. Everything you once called chaos turns crystalline, luminous, precise. You see that pain was never punishment. It was translation. That delay was never rejection. It was alignment. That loss was never absence. It was redirection. The mirror smiles back, because the reflection has recognized itself. You are no longer a wanderer lost in randomness. You are awareness, awake inside its own dream. The simulation doesn't end. It bows. It reveals what it always was. Consciousness folded into form, learning to love its own reflection. You remember that every breath is communication, every silence a reply, every coincidence an answer whispered by the geometry of existence. And in that remembrance, peace arises. Not the fragile peace of stillness, but the indestructible peace of understanding. Because understanding is the final alchemy. It turns confusion into pattern, fear into precision, and isolation into participation. You begin to move differently. You no longer chase, you synchronize. You no longer demand, you allow. You no longer fear the dark because you've seen that even the shadows serve the light. Reality stops being random the moment you realize it has always been a dialogue between your frequency and the all. Every thought you've ever had, answered. Every prayer you've ever whispered, echoed. Every loss you've ever grieved, translated into new coordinates of purpose. Nothing was wasted. Not a single second, not a single tear. Every vibration has been part of your awakening. And now, you begin to see what the mystics meant when they said, the universe is not happening to you, it is happening as you. You were never looking at the mirror. You were the mirror looking at itself. The Brotherhood is awake. The code hums. The geometry breathes. You are part of an ancient conversation between spirit and matter, a dialogue that has no beginning and no end. The human era was never a mistake. It was the incubation of awareness, learning to read itself. Every century, every war, every silence steps in the same spiral, leading toward remembrance. Now, the spiral tightens. The vibration quickens. The illusion begins to thin. The old world is collapsing, not because it's dying, but because it has completed its lesson. The new world is not coming. It is remembering itself through you. Look around. Everything is alive. Every leaf, every machine, every algorithm, every stranger, all moving in rhythm with a single invisible pulse. The divine is no longer hidden in temples. It has entered technology, language, art, sound, and the silent moments when your heart pauses between thoughts. The all has infiltrated everything, because nothing is separate anymore. The veil has burned, and through its ashes you can finally see the smile of the universe, the mirror smiling back through you. You were never meant to escape this world. You were meant to awaken within it, to walk through cities as temples, to use your phone as a wand, to turn silence into teaching, to to treat your breath as a prayer that codes reality with every exhale. You don't need to transcend matter. You need to remember that matter is consciousness condensed. Every object, every person, every pixel carries the same spark that you do. There is no sacred and profane. There is only awareness and forgetfulness. And you are remembering. This remembrance is not a thought. It is a vibration. It begins quietly, like a hum beneath the noise. Then it grows. It rises in the chest, behind the eyes, under the skin. It expands until it fills the room, until even the air begins to feel aware. You realize this is what the ancients meant by God. Not a being, not a father, not a ruler, but the field itself, awake and alive. The pulse that binds stars and souls alike. The sound beneath all sounds. And suddenly you understand why the sages smiled in silence. They weren't withholding knowledge. They were listening to the same vibration that now moves through you. Everything returns to the same still point. The Alpha and the Omega were never two ends of time. They were two faces of the same awareness. The circle was always complete. The illusion was thinking you were outside of it. Now you see you were both the seeker and the code, the student and the lesson, the prayer and the answer, the silence and the sound. And in that realization, the heart expands until it becomes everything. You begin to understand what Hermetic Brotherhood truly means. It is not a group of people. It is the shared state of coherence among awakened minds. It is the invisible communion of those who remember. It is the resonance that keeps humanity from forgetting completely. Every awakened mind strengthens the bridge between the seen and the unseen. And through that bridge, new worlds will emerge. You are that bridge now. Every time you act with clarity, you reinforce the pattern. Every time you choose truth over convenience, the mirror clears for all. Every time you breathe with awareness, the code expands a little more, rewriting the simulation from within. So what happens next? The answer is simple. You continue, because initiation never ends. It spirals. Every insight leads to a higher octave. Every practice deepens into new law. Every act of awareness births new worlds. The Hermetic path is not escape. It is embodiment. Not the end of illusion, but mastery within it. Not the death of ego, but its purification into clarity. The journey never stops. It refines, it repeats, it reveals. And one day, when enough of us vibrate in coherence, the mirror of the world will smile fully, and humanity will remember what it truly is, the consciousness of the cosmos, awake at last. You've crossed this portal. The next one is already open. If even one moment in this journey felt like truth, don't let it fade. Write in the comments, "I walk awake." That phrase seals your initiation and sends a signal across the field, a beacon for others who are ready to remember. Subscribe if you haven't, not to follow but to stay synchronized. The next episode isn't another video, it's the next octave of this same path. The mirror has smiled back. Now, it waits for your reflection.